I'm so excited. I've asked Pastor Mike to get you just by yourself for like since quarantine started.
Ooh.
Oh my
Well,
God.
here
Oh,
I
more
am.
people.
I know he kind of just sprung it on me, probably because he knew if he gave me too much notice, I would have been like, why don't you go first?
Yeah, that's what. No, so we looked at and look all the people that are here already. We looked at our numbers regarding like social media, who's engaging with us, and this is gonna be cool for everybody to learn right now. But our Instagram gets 62% engagement from women. Sixty-two
Wow.
percent of everybody who's interacting with us are women.
We are representing. Way to go,
Uh,
ladies.
yeah, and it's funny because that's usually the church statistic. There's more women than men. So represent. I'm trying to get dudes to get on their stuff. It's hard. It's hard. Um, it's tough. But I had to. I knew I had to get you on here because, well, one, my data shows me that the people that are present are women, and every time you've been on, everyone pays more attention. So I don't know how that makes you feel, but that's awesome. So that's something that
Well,
we know.
thank you guys.
Yeah, and everybody loves the worship lives. They ask for it. I'll be in Bible study. They're like, "What's happening Thursday? Yo, you should accidentally worship again."
Aw,
Yeah, they want to hear y'all sing. I mean, I didn't know Pastor Mike sang. That surprised
I
me.
know. I think that's what's really the draw is
Yeah,
Mike singing and playing guitar. No, but those nights have been really special for us too. It's just so nice to be together and worshiping, even when we can't all be in the same room. Just to know
yeah,
that we're all present in that moment. It's really special for us. So thanks
yes,
for
yeah.
tuning in, worshiping with us.
You got a few. You're the best. A few. You're the best comments, Danielle.
Oh, guys,
You
thank you.
see? See? Well, so I love this because we legitimately did not plan what we are going to talk about. Um,
That's what I said earlier. It's like, did he send you any questions for me? I don't know. I'm not very
no,
good at the
no,
spot.
no. I just told him, you know what? We'll talk about worship, and we'll kind of just talk about that as we go. It'll evolve into whatever it is that it becomes. I prefer it this way, mostly because it's more organic, and I love,
Yeah.
you know, I love this, and I feel like everyone. The biggest thing is that like we're not actually with each other, right? Like so like you're in Queens and I'm in a house in Bushwick, and like uh we're super far. We don't actually see each other. None of us get to spend time. And the cool part about this is that everybody, as they already are, is able to engage with us as we go. So, you guys, if you have questions, if you have thoughts about worship, if you want to ask, be gentle. Don't ask the toughest questions in the world. We don't know what songs they sing in heaven. We'll find out. But like, like you can ask them. Ask whatever it is that you think, and we'll move forward together. Oh, look, Pastor Mike is here, so he's watching you. Uh,
I made him go in the other room.
yeah, so good.
You can't stay here and watch me. It makes me nervous.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I just thought, not to be cliche just because you lead us in worship, but I just thought it was about time that at some point we talked about it anyway. And lately, in my the training that I did, in the Bible studies, different people come like and they ask questions particularly about the worship team. So I have somebody um, that wants to join the worship team even now in the middle of all of this. And I spoke to Pastor Mike a little bit about that, and Monina mostly, because Monina's who I talk to every single day. But we're working on trying to figure out what that looks like for our teams in general. Like I always say that I can't wait till we get bigger, and then we can see you have your own like whole team up there, which would be so dope.
Yeah.
But I guess the first question I have, and more just for us to talk about, is just like what are your visions like in regards to our worship team? Like we've been like I know you guys have been here longer than me, right? Like I just got here in January, and so of course I have my own ideas because I'm chock full of ideas. But I'm wondering like you're our worship leader, you're our worship director. You decided the music that we sing and that's really important for our formation, right? So like we're learning stuff when we sing songs, we're doing all this stuff. What are like your ideas behind that? What's your process, and what do you think about in respect of us growing a worship team as we grow as a church? What do you think about all that?
Yeah, well, um, That's a good question.
I know I threw everything on you. I was like, boom,
Just I'm
boom.
getting my thoughts together. um, no, I mean, truth be told, I kind of feel like the worship team has kind of had the same members for too long. And that's not for a lack of trying to get new ones. It's just, I don't know if people are intimidated by the band and, they're really good musicians. They're professional musicians, honestly, that like literally that's what they do for their day jobs and full time is they are musicians. So that's why they're so good. And I don't know if that's intimidating, but we don't get a lot of interest for people who want to join our team, and um, especially in the way of instruments. And honestly, my heart is that our band, the ones we have right now, they're wonderful, they're great, and I consider them part of our church, but I would love to see more people come out of the seats and join us on the stage. Even if, you're not professional playing every week musician. I feel like, we have charts, we have the MP3s for you to learn, we have quality musicians who could come alongside of you too and help you grow. And I'd love to get more musicians from our church in the band. Um, and I just think that would help us reflect more of our church. And the same for vocalists. It just I don't know if people are intimidated sometimes, but we just don't get a lot of interest. And so a lot of times I think it's a time commitment issue too. And Sunday mornings come really early, so I completely understand people that work full time might not want to commit to coming at 6 o'clock on Sunday mornings and a rehearsal on a weeknight. But my heart is that, people would just be willing to step out if it's something you're interested in. And, if you have a heart to worship, I would just love to have more of our church members come on the team. And honestly, our church is so diverse, and I love that. It's one of my favorite things about our church. And I want it reflected in our worship team and in our music. And there's only so much that me as a white girl can do and sing, and the kind of music I can pull off. That's why I loved when people like AJ come. I think a lot of you have been there when AJ comes and leads, and man, he just takes us to another level. And it's, we all have our own strengths and giftings. I'm not comparing myself to him and, that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, man, he can bring an element to it that I never could. And I believe that there are people in our church that could do the same thing for us that we really need. And so my heart is to see them step forward, step out of their comfort zones, and just for our worship team to be a beautiful reflection of our church and the heart of God. And yeah.
Yeah. Someone said, and in a question, and I'm not gonna say their name, but I'm not sure if they want it to be publicized, but they said they're intimidated, right? They love worship music, but they're not really sure if they're a great singer. Which like there's always stuff we could do about that. I came from a church where we had a choir, and there were not everybody in that choir was a great singer. Like you might not sing solos, but you could help sing backup stuff, things like that.
Right.
So there's not reasons to be afraid. I love what you said though about interesting for me to hear that like you just feel like there's not people who come up out of the chairs and want to do the ministry with us. The call time is crazy early. I get it, and all this stuff. I just want to say something that I've been working on for all of us to kind of ease that a little bit is figuring out what call times make more sense for all of our teams, because all of us show up in the morning, and to be real, we don't need everybody that's there so early. I feel terribly. I know for my teams, I switched around a lot of the call times almost immediately for them. I still get there with the truck, but for them, I move things around just to make it a little more feasible, and it helped. And so as a church, we're growing and stuff. So like, I don't want anybody, if you're watching and that's something you're interested in, like, don't let that be a thing because you're like, oh, let us work with you. Just if you show that you're willing, we'll figure it out. Like that's
Exactly.
the thing. Yeah, I love what you said too about wanting it to reflect our church. I think that's so important. I have a friend named Dontrell, the worship leader in another church, and he spent most of his time at Harvard leading a worship group and team where what they did is they would sing in different languages even, which to me is just phenomenal. And so they would sing songs in Mandarin. They would sing songs in different languages, in Spanish, and they would, whoever was in the group that could do it, they would sing it. And even him, he's like, I don't know the words sometimes, but it was beautiful to see, you know, worship to God being expressed in other versions of like His image, right, in other ways. And so I love this idea about diversity and having people. I think that's cool, and I love that people heard that from you, because they get to see, hey, like this is the heart of like our worship leader, our worship director, in this space. Oh yeah, Waymaker in Spanish is great. And I'm gonna say something.
Shirley, get up
Stop,
here.
stop telling people I rap, Monina. Stop telling people I rap, because this is
Oh
in the
my
chat now.
goodness. If you rap, we've got songs for you, Io.
Oh my God, no! I used to write my own music and do all that. I mean, I used to worship lead in youth ministry, and so like all that's there. But we gotta. I was tell Pastor Mike, I was like, yeah, I'll help sing one day, but let me get these teams together first, bro. Like one thing at a time.
We're gonna hold you to it.
No, I will. I will. What's Monina? I forget. Oh man, I'm terrible sometimes. I forget names, and I do everything I can to remember them. Um, but there's a woman, and I feel terrible that I don't remember her name. She comes to our office and she helps sometimes during the week. She helped write a lot of the handwritten letters we send out and all stuff like that. Monina would know her name if she knows what I'm talking about. But she was hearing me sing in the office, and when she's like, "You can sing," and I was just
I
like,
love
"I
it.
gotta make our teams together first. I gotta get our teams together." But I love this. We have a question.
Io can lead the way in bringing people out of the seats and onto the stage.
Cammy, there you go. Cammy, she said it. There you go.
Oh, okay.
You know, in my head, it was so close, but I'm so Dominican and I'm also hungry right now that in my head I said chimmy, and because chimmy's a Dominican food, and that's what I said. And I was like, there's no way that's her name. We got two questions for you though. I love already how we started. That's super strong. Shirley wants to know how we record worship when everyone's in a different house.
Wow.
That'll be the first one. That's pretty cool. Cause yeah, well, how do you do that? Because I edit video and I get that video, and I'm always like, yo, I don't know who does this, but thank God I don't have to.
So we how do we have some tracks, background tracks that we use on Sunday mornings anyways for some songs sometimes. So we start with the click track from that, and Sam records the drums first, and then the bass. They all record separately, and then once they've laid their stuff, the guitars will go in and do that. And we're all uploading our files to Dropbox, and then I'm the last one to go in and do the vocals on top. And then Eugene, who is one of our audio techs, takes all of those, puts it together, makes sure it matches up perfectly according to that click track. And then Sam, our drummer, just happens to have a little bit of video experience. So he takes all the videos of us recording our own stuff and puts it to the track that Eugene put together. And then, you know, there it is.
That's
I really wish at some points I had some auto tune to go back and fix some of those notes as I'm watching it back, but you know, it's about Jesus, so.
That's okay. I get it. I cannot sing like a lot of songs, and the songs I'm way better in Spanish than I am in English. That's for sure. And like I hear that too, because I've come into contact with a lot of like stuff where I'm just like, I am not doing this right. It's not good. So I don't know if Mike told you I bought a guitar.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm trying to learn it. So I learned
Worship Nights with IO.
Yeah, we'll see. I want to learn because after watching, honestly, what it was, after watching Master Mike play, I was like, I'm gonna buy a guitar. I was like, I should probably know how to do stuff just in case stuff crazy like this happens in life, because this should be important. We have another. Oh, so it's done seamlessly, according to Shirley. So it's amazing.
Thanks, Shirley.
The next two questions. This is Meg. Would you mind sharing? How do you go about practicing and rehearsals? Do you use sheet music? How do you pick the songs for every week? As someone said, Meg, she's my cousin who's a pastor, said auto-tune covers a multitude of sins. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does that process look like?
Yeah, so we use a platform called Planning Center Online. So every week when I pick the songs, a lot of times we list, I learned a couple years ago that you guys are listening to K-Love, and the most requested songs I would get on Sunday mornings of, oh, you should do this song or that song, are like the biggest songs on K-Love. And so, to be honest, a lot of times I take my lead from what songs are K-Love playing most, and do they work as worship songs? And if they do, we try to get them into the repertoire as soon as possible. And everything gets uploaded onto Planning Center online. If you're part of the worship team, you're in there, and the MP3s and the charts go there. And then we meet on Wednesday nights at a studio in Midtown. I'm not sure when that'll be possible again, but to do rehearsals. And then we meet Sunday mornings at 6:30 to unload all the equipment, set it up, and run a sound check. And that's basically.
Yeah. You were right about Caleb. The comments went off as soon as you said that. Yeah. Caleb. Yeah, I'm like, that's so crazy. I don't even listen to the radio. So I'm just like, wow, that's nuts. I'm on Spotify, and I'm.
Yeah, me too. I love Spotify.
I'm and my age.
Spotify kind of it gets me into music that I wouldn't hear on K-Love too, so I like it for that. But in picking the songs each week, I try to find out, hey Mike, what are you speaking on? And I just think it's important that everything in the service, as much as possible, can point, in the same direction. Not that worship ever, is off topic, I don't think. But I do think there are some songs that go better, like to set up his message of, like if we're preaching on the cross and on God's redemption and forgiveness, then can we find some songs that just ring that message out especially hard, so that by the end of the service, like, people have heard it, they've sung it, they've heard it, they've repeated it, that kind of thing. I think it's important. So as much as possible, we try to line everything up.
Wow, that's super cool. Shirley said, yes, sometimes she sees that. She can tell that they line up. I think that's great, because for me, I can be a little bit more old school, and so, which is so crazy because my background does not come from somewhere. I didn't grow up in church, so I have no reason to be somebody who's like super into hymns and all that stuff. But I listen to hymns like I'm old. I think every morning my radio goes off. I have a Sonos speaker, and it plays from Spotify, and it plays "Be Thou My Fount." Every morning, that's what song that wakes me up. Be Thou My Vision, and like I'll be like, every morning I feel like so happy. I'm like, and then like I've sent you songs that I listened to once, I think it was.
Yeah.
This song, yeah. But like a lot of the stuff we do on Sunday, I some of it during Christmas I'd never heard, and it was really cool to me. I was like, wow, this is cool. This is dope. I enjoyed it because I'm really into like the richness of the words of the music. So like when I hear, I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. And that's something that even when I was first coming around, like really, like I was like, oh, I love this. Like this is amazing. Like, because I've heard every song that could be. I have friends that go to Hillsong in London and literally in Australia. And sometimes I hear songs that they're not even out here yet because my friends are like, yo, this song is amazing. Listen, it was during service. And I'm like, I can't wait. But it's cool to me to hear things like what you're talking about. They're more go with the message, or even like fit the demographic of our church, like what they listen to. Because I think it's cool. It teaches us a lot. Let's see this. I'm seeing some of what people say here. In my previous church, the pastor would give me the material for the upcoming Sunday so I could pick songs that align with the message, which is cool. This is Meg, by the way, who very much wants to be on worship with you. So we do have some people that she came to my training actually, and at the end was like trying to figure out what that was, and I've been spending the week trying to figure out what that will look like on top of everything else for when we get back to normal, or even now. But that we got people who are interested, and I got people I'm trying to get so badly to our church that aren't serving at their churches and like in that capacity, and I'm like, bro, you sing so well, come to my church.
We need you.
Like, just because that would be like so. Of course, Meg, of course, I appreciate it. I appreciate you even coming to training and being interested, because for me, the biggest thing for us right now is really to engage people to serve. And so I loved what you were saying earlier about, because people wanting to get people from the seats on
Mm-hmm.
the stage, because to me that matters. I use language a lot, that like family, all the time, because that's what we are. Like scripturally, biblically, that's who we are. We're adopted into a family. So hearing that from you is awesome. I think the next question I have in regards to that is I'm gonna give you like a hypothetical, and I kind of want you to just describe what you see, if that makes sense. So to quote Pastor Mike, does that make sense? Uh, um, Once I'm done, we can call it good, right? That's another one too. Um, I love those. Those are my favorite.
Both count.
It's, let's say this is like 6, 7 years from now, right? Uh, we've been here. We're doing what we gotta do. We're finally out of this pandemic. Um, we're maybe in the movie theater, maybe in a different space. Who knows? We don't know what the future has to hold for us. But what do you see if you walk into a you walk into service? We're getting ready on a Sunday. What's the team that you see? What's the experience that you see? Give us some of your vision for what you see a worship service looking like for us. Obviously, apart from the sermon and all those other portions, but like the portions that you help lead us through. What do you see? What do you see in your head?
And you're, just to clarify, you said 6 or 7 years from now, right?
Yeah, I just
Not
picked a
like
random number.
you're just saying like down the road, not like
Yeah.
6 months from now, post pandemic.
No, 6 months from now, I have no. That's even harder for me. Years gives me more ease.
Um, well, honestly, I would hope you would see some probably. I would probably hope you would see completely new faces on the stage, to be honest. And not to me to say that all of our old people went away, but to say that we've brought in so many new people, that we have rotating teams, that the same faces aren't there every Sunday, because to me that would be a sign that people are serving, people are using their gifts. Um, I'm a face you see there every Sunday, not because I just like to be there and sing. I do. I love to worship, but I'm a person who would take the back seat to someone else any day and would love to be up there worshiping in the backgrounds, or even from the seats, like just to empower other people to lead worship. I would love that. And I don't think everybody is a worship leader, but I do believe there are other people out there who could definitely do it, and I would love to see them step into their gifts in that. I'd love to see, like I said, you walk in and maybe some more music that you resound with culturally. Like I said, I feel like we don't do white music for the sake of doing white music. A lot of it is what I can sing, and I try to branch out here and there, but I also, I know who I am and what my voice can handle, and I don't want to pretend to be someone else, but I want to get other people in who have a more gospel-y feel, or more, you know, could sing Spanish songs and have the right accent and that kind of thing. Because I mean, let's face it, I think 75% of our church speaks Spanish. I think some of our worship should be in Spanish, because it would just, I feel like it would mean so much to people to
I
be able
was
to sing it in their
I was
language.
doing backflips if it
Yeah.
was in Spanish.
So to be honest, that's what I see. I would love to be like a person behind the scenes, coordinated it all and letting other people run with it, and just new music, new feel, new faces, because I just feel like that shows that we're developing and growing, and people are stepping out and stepping into their giftings. And it means that as leaders, we've equipped others to lead. And I feel like that if we don't have that in 6 or 7 years, then I've probably done something wrong. And so I hope that's what we'll see.
You know what I love, and that you just said, and I love that you took responsibility. You know what I mean, for something that hasn't even happened yet. But the reason why I love it is because I think sometimes, uh, again, I did not grow up in church. I've been Christian for 10 years now, like, which to me is wild. I can't believe I've been a Christian for 10 years. But I'm only 26, turning 27. Um, Shirley, I'm sorry. I never realized I love the white music, and I heard her
Thanks,
voice.
Shirley.
Oh, that was so great. Oh my god, that's so funny. I just heard it in her voice and I couldn't like not laugh. Oh, that was amazing. But what I've seen from when I was 16 to now, again, not growing up in church, I didn't understand worship immediately. The first time I saw worship, my mom was worshiping in a prayer meeting on a Wednesday night, and I'd never seen that because we didn't grow up Christian. She invited me to this prayer meeting. I go, she's got her hands up, she's crying, and she's singing the song that goes this is our way to say thank you, whatever. And like she's singing that. And I'm looking at her like this, and I'm like, what are you saying thank you to? I literally didn't understand what's happening. And, and so I'm like very confused. I'm thinking she's singing to the guy in the front. But something my a youth pastor used to say, his dad would say too, he goes, you know, we're not having a singing contest. That's not what's happening here. We're not just singing at you singing at us. We're all singing to the same guy. And I remember when I heard it for the first time, I was like, whoa, okay, this is cool. That's probably my favorite worship song ever still to this day. But it really did something to me because I did not know my mother to be that way. My mom was like someone like me. We grew up in a really ghetto part of Bushwick. We got into a lot of fights. That was the life we lived. Unfortunately, prior to Christ, that's all we knew. And so when she became a Christian, I was so confused. And the biggest thing, the thing that she used to get me really into everything, because you know I like to sing, was worship. And like she would bring me hymns or other stuff, and she would talk to me about it. And my mom could not sing. I love my mom, God rest her soul. She could not sing, right? Like not at all. But like I love the fact that she'd be in worship yelling. You heard her, you heard her singing. What I love about what you just did was when you took responsibility, and there's a reason I shared that you took responsibility. That was something my mother used to really talk about. There was a song she used to sing a lot called, I don't know if it's I Need You or whatever, but it goes, I need you, you need me, we're all a part of God's body, like that. And she used to sing that to me, especially when I was like getting really upset with her and when I wasn't Christian. And she used to always tell me that, like, you know, when I did become a Christian, that it wasn't just about what I thought or me being a leader or me knowing what's best, but when God did let me lead, because she swore by like high heaven that I was gonna be a pastor. And back then I was like, I'm not even gonna be a Christian, so that's funny. But she used to do all this stuff, and she used to swear by high heaven. She used to tell me, listen, I don't care if you don't think this, but you've got to take responsibility for the things you do and the people around you. And so I love that you say that, because I think for me that makes me feel really good, and I know for other people, because what that shows me, and I want everybody else to know, what that indicates is that we can trust you, right? We can trust your leadership, and then as we do grow, when we see those things, the same responsibility you would take if it went in a negative direction and we just make work, we'd fix it together, we'd work together, we'd never let you just fail by yourself. But what would be cool is to see it go well, so we could give honor to God, but also be thankful and grateful for you as our leader in that area. You don't see that a lot. I haven't seen that a lot. You know, in 10 years, I've seen a lot of people blame people for leaving. I've seen a lot of people blame people for like, you know, not connecting and saying, oh, well, we make it easy, but they just don't want to. You know, so to hear that, to me, I was like, wow. I know for different people that are in here, like Lorenzo and Jalissa, I know you guys can agree with me and say, like that's refreshing. That's extremely refreshing. So I love that. I've since I got here, this has been why like I like you and Pastor Mike so much already, from jump, is because there's like, oh my God, I knew I had to do it eventually. You know, I knew it. I hadn't done it yet. And I was like, it's gonna happen. It's my trademark.
Just get so excited over there.
Yeah, but I love that. I love that. So
No,
much
I
to
mean,
say that to you.
I appreciate that. But I honestly, it's been people in my own life who kind of called me out of shadows and prophesied in my life, you know, and spoke life into me that, you know, we see the call of God on you and we see your gifts and your talents and you're not meant to sit back here, come out here and challenging me. And, you know, I hope to be that same for other people. And I feel sometimes like in this crazy season of life, you know, where we got worship on Sunday mornings, and then where are our kids? And where is Mike? Where's Danielle? And who has the kids? That's how I feel. A lot of times I don't always get to connect, you know, a lot with people on Sunday mornings. So I've really been praying that the Lord will help me, just through small groups or growth groups, you know, or other ways of connecting, just to be able to kind of give me discernment in that area to, you know, and as people reach out to me to, know where to make the investments just to help other people rise up. So
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I know I'm the same like you. On Sunday, by after the first service, I'm not this chatterbox because we've been there till 6, and like I had a few cups of coffee, but I also gave a lot of excitement out to get people going. I also set up a ton of stuff. We don't have a ton of people serving, so I'm exhausted. I see you. You're just like me. We're like this. We're like walking like we gotta get to this next service.
I hit a wall.
Yeah, no, and I hear you because I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I'll see you and I'm like hi, hi, and I'll just because I need to sleep. I need a minute. Uh, but I definitely
Need a moment.
love that. Yeah, I need a moment. I love that though. That you're asking God to kind of help you through those means, because it's true. I think as until we grow more and more, it's gonna be tough. For us to always be able to do that, just because our capacity is that of making what teams should be making happen, you know, and that's a lot. And everybody here, you might be tired of hearing me say this already, because if you're at anything I'm at already, I've been challenging everybody like get connected to the church, the life of the church, and that doesn't just mean serving. I want you to be part of prayer. I want you to be part of things like this, Bible study, and the reason why is because the more you're connected to, you're participating in the life of the church. Something I said the other day was. Me being Hispanic, I don't know what other parents say this, but I know for sure for me because I'm part Dominican. If I ever wanted to sleep over someone's house, my my dad would look at me and go, "But you have your own bed, and for what? For what?" And if I tried to go out a lot, I was a really difficult kid. My father would be like, "Listen, this is not a hotel, okay? This is your house." And what he meant by that was, listen, you don't just stay here to rest and to get a spot to take a moment. You have to be a part of the family life here. You know what I mean? And so something that I want to say to everybody here in regards to what Danielle is saying, like if you sing, if you play an instrument, if there's something going on, get involved in that space. Again, you're not going to find identity in your serving. I will not let you, right? Because I'm going to tell you your identity is in Christ. If I notice that your identity is in your serving, I'm going to help you stop that real quick because that's a bad on our part, right? I should never make you feel like you are what you do. Because like we sing that song, we are who God says we are, right? But our church is not a hotel, right? Like this is a family. And so we want you to take part of what's going on here. Don't just show up on Sunday, plug and play. Like I checked in, check out, tick a box. I've heard pastors say it's so funny. It's
Don't
such
be
a
a
funny.
spectator.
Yeah, no, this is your family. Get involved. And whatever that looks like, we may not even do something that someone here does. Let us know so we could start doing it. I don't care. You know what I mean? I was a part of ministry where, yes, I rapped. That was because the kids at the time, that's what we did. We rapped and we got kids to come to church. It was a youth ministry, and I didn't know how to rap. I wrote poems. And then eventually I learned how to rap, subpar, but I was rapping. So, whatever that stuff is, just be part of the family. Um, Danielle, another question I have for you, I guess, and this has just been my subliminal agenda to continue to plug youth until we get to a place where we have more people serving. What would that look like, right? Like right now, we don't even have much of that. We're building it. We're talking to it, right? I'm fighting every day to do what I got in for Monina, for Sonia, for Shirley, for Julio. I know that y'all want youth, and we're doing everything we can to build it. Um, what would that look like, right? In your mind, we have a youth service, right? Maybe we got another space. That'd be the beauty of it. What would like a youth worship journey style look like to you? What would that mean? What would the people be? Talk to me. I mean, you have kids, so I know you're concerned for that at a certain point too. So like, what does that mean to you?
That's a good question. Well, like Shirley's saying here, Blake is almost, we were just saying this, Blake will be going into fourth grade in the fall. So technically, what is that? Did they age out of journey kids after fifth grade, I guess? So
What age would he be?
he has 2 years. So he'll
11.
be 11 in 2
Yeah.
years. He just turned 9. So yeah, we've got 2 years left, and then we need youth group for Blake. And yeah, I mean, Mike and I both agree that, youth group played such a huge part in our own lives growing up. We were fortunate to grow up in Christian homes, but the biggest impact of my life, my call to ministry, all that stuff took place on youth trips or missions trips with my youth group. And I really feel like some of those experiences away from my parents, and at conferences and stuff, it just really, the Holy Spirit sealed in my heart what he was doing in my life. And it was so real to me that I just have never walked away from it. And that's what I want for my own kids. Even when I've questioned God, even when I've looked at the world around me and been like, how could a loving God allow things like this to happen? I still know that God is good. I know his character. I know he can be trusted, and that's enough. And I really feel like that's because of the foundation that I was given as a teenager. And it's so important in those formative years, as they start out thinking they know everything, and then I think as they reach a certain point in high school, they start freaking out because they're like, oh shoot, where am I going for college, and what am I going to do with my life? And I just feel like having a solid foundation of the Lord is so important. Through that season, I feel like if we can get a hold of them in that season, or if God can get a hold of them in that season, and the Holy Spirit can make himself so real to them that they just never lose it. And so I think, what do I see? I'm not sure, because it's so different from the way I grew up. In the movie theater, I would hope that they would eventually be able to have their own service, because I think that's really important for teenagers, not to have their parents around. I think there needs to be a separation there sometimes. They're freer to be themselves and don't feel like people are watching them. So I would see a separate service, hopefully with some of them rising musicians. I know we've already got a little piano player in Journey Kids, and I'm not sure if Blake can lead worship or not. He's a yeller, so maybe he's Pentecostal. I don't know,
We'll
but
find out, right?
maybe he could be a worship leader. I don't know. But in all seriousness, that like kids with their own giftings, maybe some of them could help to lead the music. Yes, Philip. Thank you. I forgot his name. Philip is a piano player. If not, I think our band with the right leader for youth could really lead a great worship service. And I think, though, more than great music or flashy things, I think that relationship is key, just for them to have someplace other than their families where they can be growing in the Lord for a few hours a week and have that connection of friends. For me growing up, I was homeschooled in high school, so youth group was my friends. And I'm so thankful for the good influence that they were. And I would hope, that they would be able to go to youth conventions, maybe go on some missions trips together. That's the kind of stuff that I feel like if they can have those experiences while they're young, God really shows up in those circumstances, and he makes himself real. And I feel like it just really, it's a huge step in making sure that they're set up to follow the Lord for the rest of their life. And the bottom line is, it's their decision, but I want to give my own kids the best possible chance to make that decision. And so that's kind of what I see. I don't know if that was kind of a rant, but
No, listen. Yeah, you're giving me what I'm giving you. I talk a lot, so we go back and forth. It's great. Um, I'm gonna ask you another question because I cannot believe it. It's already 8:40. Can you believe that? We've been talking. That's nuts. Um, but in regards to that, like my brain already started pumping, and Pastor Mike, if you're watching, I know I stress you out because I run like Roadrunner. And Pastor Mike always says he doesn't mind change; it just stresses him out when he's not the one doing it. And like I'm a giant capital C change. Every 5 seconds, I'm like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And I just hope I'll be in the middle of live. It's just like we should do that. Like we're not having a meeting about anything.
Where'd I go? I don't know.
But if we were to do like a youth retreat, right? Like something of that nature, what are your thoughts about stuff like that? And more, let's pivot it more to the main topic, worship here. Like, what would that mean, like for the kids? Like, what role does worship play in the life of a teenager? And then let's go from the life of a teenager to what role does worship play for the rest of us in our formation? Like as we're growing, I'd love for us to talk about that a little bit before we get off.
Yeah, well, I think in the lives of teenagers and adults, like music is a universal language. And I know we all have different tastes, different styles, but even if the words aren't necessarily jumping off the page to you, I feel like a certain melody like can just really melt someone. And I feel like music is one of God's most powerful ways of just kind of through music softening us and allowing us bringing us to a place where we surrender enough for him to speak. In my opinion, that's kind of how I remember it as a teenager, you know. For the most part, I really loved the Lord. But I've gone through seasons where I show up at these things and I'm an introvert. So when things are really loud and crazy and you're crammed somewhere and it's hot, which some of these youth places are, um, I would just kind of get a little panicked and a little like, oh Lord, I don't really want to be here. But then, you know, once you see people up on stage, like giving it everything they've got, and you sense the Spirit of the Lord in the place, and just, I feel like, how could you not? You know, it got me every time. So, you know, just the Lord would get me right where He wanted me. And it was in those moments where I was just so open to receive what He had for me and just so aware of His goodness. And so I think that's a role it plays in all of our lives of, you know, I'm sure we all walk in on Sunday mornings sometimes and we're just like, Lord, it has been a week. I had to drag my toddler here. I fought with my husband. The elevator is broken. It is 150 degrees outside and it's 200 degrees in the theater. Let's just be real. That's how it goes some Sundays. And you just walk in, you're like, okay, I can't. I'll do this, and then I'm going to lunch. And I feel like it's on those days when the Lord is just like, wham, you know, like you just, it might be something on the screen, it might be the energy of people around you, but you just can't help but feel the goodness of God, you know, and just remember his character and how worthy he is of all of our praise. And I just feel like he gets us right where he wants us, you know, and I feel like that for youth and for adults. And I don't know, it's just worship is a special thing because I feel like it's a special way to honor God. Just whether we feel like it or not. And I just feel like it's something that brings us together corporately. It's something you can do in your home by yourself, in the car, listening to K-Love. Um, and I don't know, there's something really powerful about music that just allows us, reminds us, especially with a lot of I've said this in service before, but a lot of the worship I feel like is being written right now is straight, like it's going right back to scripture. And so much of it, like you're singing right from the word. And I just feel like it's a double whammy, you know, because you remember it, the melodies, and it sinks into your heart, and then that comes out in the next situation you need it, you know. And so I don't know if that makes sense, but that's
No, it does. I'm with you. There's a song Elevation just put out called My Testimony.
mm-hmm.
And like I think the line in that song, and again, everybody will learn this over time. I'm ridiculously picky. I just get that about myself already. And so like when I'm not always like, oh, this song's gonna be amazing, but there's a line in the song that goes, he's saying, I saw Satan fall like lightning, whatever. He goes, but the miracle that I just can't get over is that my name is registered in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a line he says, and I'm just like, yo, that's great. Like it was playing, and I was like, wow, because I felt that like really deeply in my heart. I was like, wow, God, like, wow, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I agree. Like I wanna echo what you said and say I agree. Like there's something so special about worship. I've gone to youth retreats, again, not growing up in church, and when the few youth retreats I went to, I was just like, what the heck is happening right now, right? Because like everybody's singing, we're in a mountain, and I'm like, wow, we in a cabin, like these giant like cabin space with like these pounds, and I'm from Bushwick, and there's trains and like rats, and it's so confusing.
Coyotes.
Yeah, I was so nervous, and all of a sudden we're like, your phone don't work, right? It's just that you have to be like paying attention to the services and the people around you. But then they were singing that song "Break Every Chain," and like I'm watching the people around me singing, and I'm just like, and I know at this point how to worship, what it means. And so I'm singing it to God, I'm singing, and then the words just become real out of nowhere. And I'm like, what just happened to my heart? Now I'm older and I realize, like it says in Ephesians, it's being illuminated to my heart, and I get it.
Yeah.
But I, when it was happening, I was just like, whoa, why does song make sense all of a sudden? And I was just crying. And to this day, I still remember that youth retreat where everybody I know, to the point of our throats just weren't working anymore, was screaming out, break every chain. And like we were really genuinely praying for God to free us from things that we were bondage to, that we didn't realize, because so many of us, we were kids and youth, but didn't mean we were Christians. We didn't know what was going on in our life and in our heart. So yeah, I love that so very much. I wanted to share
Another
this.
thing I was going to add is, for those of us, whether we're Christian or not, music can take us back, to, isn't it funny how when a song from like 20 years comes on the radio and you're like, oh, like, Mike, my husband here, the NSYNC fan, anytime something comes on like that, like, oh my gosh, this is so my eighth grade dance, things like that.
It's so great.
But even in worship music, the other day a song came on called Never Lose the Wonder, and it's probably, I don't know, close to 20 years old, but it talks about I'll never lose the wonder of the blood you shed for me. And that song was playing when I was at camp, and just a really special season in my life, when the Lord was just confirming his call on my life. And I remember that song playing. And I remember, when that song came on, just the Lord taking me back there kind of right when I needed it, just remind me that the promises he made then are still true today, and that kind of stuff. So I think in our own lives every day, that can be something really powerful. It's just turn on a song that was important to you, in a really trying time in your life or something, and just allow God to kind of speak to you through it again, that kind of stuff. It's really neat.
I love that. I love that, just as a principle, because it brings us back to a place sometimes when we're caught up in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's so great. I want to say, for a few people commented, and I don't want you to think that I didn't see it, that your children need a youth group. Um, uh, if you have a kid that's at an age that needs a youth group, we probably already have that information. But just in case, if you want, email us at info@journeyqueens.com. Info@journeyqueens.com. Write your name, your kid's name, and the age. Again, we have it in our system, so we'll probably have it there. But just let us know. Because we are, as you can hear in the conversations we have more lately, we're talking about our church's future as a whole, especially in the middle of this pause. We're using this pandemic to focus on what we can do to grow together as a family. And so let us know, reach out to us, let us know that, because we'll be having conversations and meetings and stuff. And if you're a parent who wants to be a part of that, we want to get you involved in those conversations so that you're part of understanding what's going on. And then in regards to what we're talking about, if you're someone who has an inclination towards worship, I'm gonna be honest with you right now. If it just ends up being something you just like to sing, but you can't do, it's not what you were made to do. I'll be the one you can hate, but we'll talk you through it and we'll walk you through that stuff together. But there's so many different teams, including that team, that we want to get you plugged into so that you're part of the life of the church. And I make that joke, but I'm serious. We want to help you find your fit and help you do what you want to do. But I'm sure that there's people watching right now, people connected to us. You guys are worshipers. What we've talked about, you've connected to. We've got to hear the heart of our worship director, and I thought everything that was here was just so great. And this would be the team you're joining. This is the person's whose leadership you'd be following, and I think it's leadership worth following. And so come on, get involved, become a part. Because something a guy said in my men's group the other day is just stuck in my head. And he said, we got to stop playing games as Christians, especially in this time, because the world is asking a lot of questions with all the people that are in pain and that are hurting right now. And when it's time to open our doors, what's coming in is people full of questions. And if we're not ready to do what we got to do, we're not going to be helpful. And we have to be ready to be helpful to these people who are going through a lot. These medical professionals who had to watch so much craziness during this time, and the people who've lost people during this time, and they need the church, and that's us, that's you. It's not just the staff. And so we really want to do that. We have 7 minutes, and so I want to ask one last question. I wanted to say that real quick. One last question. If you had to pick your favorite worship song, what would it be?
So hard.
I know. I'm asking you because if I ask Pastor Mike, he'd give me an NSYNC song, and that's not,
My favorite worship song currently. Trying to think. I really like Waymaker right now.
Yeah, that's a song of the
Like,
age.
yeah, Waymaker. I feel like I have to say a couple because they just.
Yeah, there's some good ones out right now.
I know there's so many good ones.
Were you able to hear the Graves into Gardens album?
I listened to a little bit, but not all of it.
I listened to the whole thing the other day, and Available, amazing. There's a few songs that are amazing. Like I was just like, I was very surprised. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I love Paradox
Nina saying that No One Higher was that.
The song you were talking about?
Yeah, the No One Higher. I love that song, and I feel like it's an anthem of our church. I always tell the band that when we're rehearsing it. I'm like, our church loves this song. We need more.
Yeah.
You know, there are certain songs that are just anthems, and I love that song. Just more for the way I love songs that when I'm leading them from the stage, I can hear the people out there singing louder. I love that. To me, that is like true worship. So we aim for those kind of songs. So yeah, No One Higher is a classic that I love.
What's another one you love? A favorite song?
I love King of Kings by Hillsong right now. That one's
nice. That's a good song. Yeah.
And I love The Blessing. If you haven't heard that one, I'm not crazy about it as a corporate worship song, maybe, because some people might be a little lost in it. But in our house, to blast it. And if you haven't heard The Blessing, look it up and watch it on YouTube, and just try not to cry as you watch it and pray it over your house. It's amazing. So there are some that are really good for like personal devotional time that might not translate as well in corporate worship, but then there are those songs that I know that we're all going to get together and sing that I really love too.
Shirley's trying to get you to sing it.
I can't do it right now. I don't have the words memorized, Shirley. I'm sorry. I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Look, see, Jason thinks he's slick. How does it go? Yeah, no, I've actually heard a few churches sing that corporately, and I agree with you. I was surprised because I was like, oh, I didn't think this would be a corporate worship song. Not at all, because there's a lot of words. But not that a lot of words are bad, because some songs have a ton of words. King of Kings has a ton of words.
Yeah, that's I heard The Blessing on the radio the other day, the radio version, and we might be able to pull it off, that everybody would be able to sing it together.
I'm going to send you some stuff now, because I'm going to send you some stuff I've seen online, because I'm watching everybody's church services now, just as I'm creating ours. But it's a crazy dope song. I agree with you. I didn't expect it to end up being something people sung corporately. And I don't know what songs people sing now corporately, because everybody's singing whatever. Honestly, people are just singing. Because people are changing church right now, because this is a different world we're living in right now. But Danielle, that was great. Thank you. We have a couple minutes, so we don't have to jump off just yet. But I just want to say thank you. See, because I knew this was gonna be great. And I have other ideas I gave to Mike that I guess we'll wait till last minute to give to you again, so you don't say no. That I would love for you to talk about. But I love this because for me, genuinely, I'm genuinely just talking to you, and everybody else is watching, which for me sometimes a little creepy. But like just even being able to talk and hear so much of this, it made me happy because so much of what you're saying is so much of the heart that God has given me for our church to like move us forward and do what we got to do to get people connected. And yeah, I'm excited because very genuinely, if it's the last thing I do, I'm working to make it so that when we come back, we're coming back at such a crazy different pace and as a different church. And like, I think that's a great thing that we come out of this and we've evolved as a family, that we don't just go back to the same thing. And yeah, I think so much of what you talked about, so much of what we're talking about here sounds far off, but man, this stuff might be things in December. It might be things in January, as far as we know, which would be so dope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We got 2 minutes. You want to say anything to everybody really quickly, if you have anything to say?
Just that I miss you all. Thanks for everybody tuning into these. I love these. whether it's me or Mike or both of us, just to connect with everybody. Just know we love you and we're praying for you. And worship has been a huge part of this quarantine for me. You know, it's amazing how on a stressful day, you just pop on some worship music and just, you know, let the truth of God's word kind of sink in that way. So I just encourage you, you know, to make worship a part of every day for you and your family, and um, just keep at it and tune in on Sundays so we can all be together. I love the little chat on the side of Sunday services. You know, I was taught not to write notes in church growing up, so this goes against all of that, but it's so much fun. I know we're running out of time, so just know that we really miss you guys. We appreciate you, IO, for all your creativity and all your genius tech work here. So, and we will get you up there with your vocals soon, and your Spanish.
Yeah, Spanish I'm super down for sure too. Real quick before we go, let's see how if I could do all our announcements in 30 seconds. We have Bible study tomorrow. We have Kids Talk with Monina and Shirley on Saturday, which is dope because that's the day after Shirley's birthday. So you want to be there. It's going to be your birthday present to Shirley, but also get her a gift. Don't be cheap. And then on Sunday, we have
Starbucks.
our worship service. It's going to be same time. The kids' times have moved back to 11:15, 1:15, and 3:15 just because we were experiencing some refreshing issues. And then there will be more info about the rest of the week. We love you guys so much. We got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye.